coffee. Yummy. Now let's talk. Hey guys, so it's Erin from Team Baraga, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my witness. So my witness is just going to be a little bit of my faith journey and how the Lord has converted my heart to get closer and closer to Him every day. So let's go. I was born in Escanaba, Michigan. I grew up there my whole life. I went to public school there. I grew up going to St. Anne's in Escanaba, St. Anne's Parish. I love it so much there and all the people, and I go to Northern Michigan University in Marquette now, so I attend St. Michael's there, but I really love when I get a chance to go home because I really love the community at St. Anne's. Growing up, it was a really huge part of my faith journey, so I really love it there. Growing up, the faith for me, well, I was confirmed at 8 years old. So what does that look like? I picked my saint for my confirmation saint out of one of those picture book of saints things, and I picked her because she was pretty. So lo and behold, my saint was St. Catherine of Siena, and I tend to say that she actually picked me because I ended up picking a doctor of the church, and she's an amazing witness to the faith, and there's no way that I just picked her out of my own doing there because she's a lot more than just pretty. So I was confirmed in 3rd grade, and then I kept going to CCD through 8th grade, and I really enjoyed CCD, but I enjoyed it for the fun of it. I really wasn't there mentally. I didn't want to hear about the faith. I didn't want to, I was always pretty negative about CCD. Our CCD teachers were very patient with us, but we were doing flips and tricks, and they're like, okay guys, sit down. So just CCD was fun for me. I didn't take it seriously, and so that was kind of my faith life. And so like growing up, the faith for me was modeled by my parents was action, faith in action. So we were in every ministry possible, and it was good. It was very good for me to feel like I was doing the faith. I was an altar server, an usher, a lector, a cantor. I was in the children's choir. I was teaching vacation Bible school in the summer, all this stuff from, elementary school through high school. I was doing all this stuff. And I remember a Sunday where I didn't have a job, and I got there and my family all had a job, but I had to sit alone in a pew. And I was like, is it even Mass if I'm not doing something? And it's kind of funny to think about now because I love being in the pew, being able to pray the Mass. But at that time, I thought I wasn't at Mass unless I'm doing something. So it's kind of ironic now how it switched. But just at that time, I just really thought that faith was action. I had to be doing something. So I was pouring myself into ministry, loving it, but I wasn't there spiritually. I had no relationship with Jesus whatsoever. I didn't pray on my own time. I just was there physically, but I was never at Mass for the spiritual aspect. And so I have a memory of one time when I was cantering where I was up there proclaiming the word, and I was like, echo the congregation was echoing back at me, and I was, had my hand up for them to echo me back. And I remember thinking in my mind as they echoed back, I don't believe a word of this. And I remember just like, I really didn't. I didn't believe a word I was saying to them. And I was wondering why they were saying it back to me. Did they all seriously believe this? And I had a really hard time in doubting the faith. And like, is God really who He says He is? Because He says He's a lot of things, and I don't know if I trust Him. And so it was very hard to keep getting myself faithfully going to Mass. I mean, my parents really were the ones that did that. They were just like, no, we have an obligation, you're going. And thankfully, I never fought them on it. I never missed a Sunday Mass throughout all that time, a few years of doubting and in the faith and what I was doing. And once middle school CCD ended, for high school, we had a youth group program where we'd go Sunday night after the Sunday evening Mass and learn about the faith with our youth group coordinator, our youth minister, and he would ask me every Sunday after Mass, you come into youth group tonight? And I was like, no. And I remember being really hard on him about it, just like always saying no, and I never gave him a yes. And without fail, he would still ask me every single Sunday. He was so patient. And I always told him no. It's like, absolutely not, I'm not going. And so eventually one night, I got a call from a number I didn't know, and I picked up, and it was my youth minister, and he said, "Hi, is this Erin?" And I was like, "Eh." He's like, "Okay, I have a spot on the bus to the Steubenville conference. Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., we leave from St. Anne's parking lot. You're going." Now, my sister had gone to Steubenville. This is a conference for the youth of the church, for like high school age youth. And my sister had been going for a few summers before, but I was always like, absolutely not, I won't go. And I actually started calling it Stupidville because I was so against it. And she would come back completely changed, on fire for Jesus, and I wanted no part of it. And so I always denied going to Steubenville every year. And so this was like a big deal. In your faith life, you can kind of come to a crossroads sometimes of, I can choose Jesus, I can choose him, or maybe I can just keep following my parents' faith, and like they have their own faith journey. Okay, so this was my moment to choose it for myself and make the faith my own, the way that they did during their lives and have modeled for me. Or I could keep just trying to make their faith my own, which wasn't really going that well, because it's not mine. And so I had that moment on the phone call where because I was going to choose, either way I'm going to Steubenville, right? My parents are going to get on the phone and tell me I'm going, or I'm going to get to choose right now to go. So what did I do? I said, okay, fine, I'm going. See you there. So the next morning I got on the bus to Steubenville. We headed to Wisconsin where the Steubenville conference was held. And I remember hating every minute of it that first day. And then on the second day, there was this women's talk. And it was by Sister Miriam James Heidland. I don't know if you know of her, but she's this really, really beautiful sister from the community SOLT, S-O-L-T. And she gave this really beautiful witness talk. And I remember when she got up on stage, I was like, ugh, I have to listen to a nun talk for an hour. I was really upset, actually. And about like 10, 15 minutes into her talk, my entire disposition of my heart just like flipped. And all of a sudden, every word she had to say, I wanted it. I didn't care what I had to do. I wanted what she had. I wanted her joy. I wanted her fire. I wanted her passion. She just loved talking about Jesus. And I wanted it. And did I really want Jesus? So. I tend to think I did, but in reality, I wanted just to be that happy. I wasn't that happy. I wanted that joy. And so I was ready to do anything for Jesus. I was like, I don't care what I have to do, Jesus. Let me have that joy. And her witness just changed it all for me. And so going forward, that Steubenville conference, I was listening. I was ready. I left. I was on fire. I went on a silent retreat like 2 weeks later that I was not ready for. And it was super fruitful. I went on my youth encounter, which is the youth encounter movement here in the diocese. And I made my youth encounter. It was amazing. I went to follow-ups and stuff after and made a bunch of amazing friends from the diocese. I was on fire and I didn't know what to do with it. And it was honestly that single moment during her witness where at some point in there, the Holy Spirit completely changed the disposition of my heart. And it was all because someone in my life, my youth minister, didn't stop coming after me. And that right there is proof that God doesn't stop chasing us. Just looking at that moment and realizing that, yeah, it was my youth minister, but also that was God. He was following the promptings of the Holy Spirit, never giving up on me, completely following after me, even though I denied him every single Sunday night. No, I won't go to the youth group. He didn't care. He kept asking me. And because he kept asking me, because he got me to go to that Steubenville conference, I'm here. I'm a Totus Tuus missionary for my second summer in a row, and I love it. I get to talk about Jesus all day. I get to pray all the time. And honestly, if you would have asked me 5 years ago if this would be an ideal summer, I would have laughed in your face because I didn't want to that close to Jesus. But it was that single moment, and I'm sure so many others before that built on it, but it was that conference and all the people in my life, the example of my parents and their ministry, the example of my sister and her faith journey, the example of my youth minister, and so many priests and religious that I've gotten to know over the years in the diocese, and so many faithful friends. And really the Lord has really given me so many amazing witnesses to the faith, and those people have brought me to where I am today in my faith journey, and I'm so grateful for how he has used people who love me so dearly to show me how much more dearly God truly loves me. And my prayer for you watching this today is that maybe if you get a chance to look back at your faith journey, where you are in it now, and who are the people in your life that God has clearly put in your path to be a witness to you, to show you love, and to be that light that brings you closer to him every single day. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Good coffee. Good coffee.